Okay.
Hey everybody, Pittsburgh Sports Now, Zach Weiss here, joined with a very familiar face, Pitt women's basketball head coach Lance White. Lance, how are you doing on this fine day?
Oh, I'm doing great. I appreciate you so much taking the time and being able to talk about some Pitt women's basketball.
And it comes with very, very good news. Of course, a very familiar name to Pitt women's basketball fans coming back, but trading the sneakers for some high heels. Brianna Kiesel, now an assistant coach. Just what was the process for you to turn this alum back into an alum, but using her in a different way?
It was such a great process, and obviously whenever Bridget left and got the head coaching job at Northeastern, Bree was one of the first names I had thought of that, is that if she was ready to quit playing professionally, I thought she would be a great addition. Went through a lot of different candidates, and those who had different qualities, and then I just kept coming back to Bree, and her love for this university, her love for Pitt, and then the quality of basketball that she played at the very highest level. And we've got great experience on my staff right now, and we thought having somebody that the kids could look up to on a day-to-day basis, who walked in their shoes, who is exactly what they have to become, was the most important thing that I thought we needed right now in our program.
And you mentioned it a little bit in the last answer. Obviously, she saw Pitt at a time when it was in a rebuilding phase and brought it to an NCAA tournament team, which obviously, when you inherited the job, it's a very similar arc in that respect. Just how much can you build on that experience with her having been that coach on the court, using that, maybe even being her and putting her in the lab and getting her through some practices with the girls as well too?
Oh, absolutely. And if you haven't ever talked to Bree, and whenever you do the first time, she's got a calm confidence about her that is so rare. And someone who makes you believe, who holds you accountable, and who understands, especially for our players, of what it takes to be great. And just like you said, she came here and struggled and learned and took this team in this university to an NCAA tournament that our kids have to do. And so I'm really excited about her interaction and her ability to mold these young women into warriors, and that's what I would describe Bree as somebody who just got just a warrior mentality that she's really going to challenge them every day.
Obviously, when you first reached hold of her was when you first took the job. What were the nature of those conversations, just incoming coach speaking to alum, and what maybe gave you some green light saying, hey, maybe we can take this further?
Yeah, it was crazy. Whenever I first got here, she was one of the first players that reached out and sent this amazing basket of just great things about all about Pitt, and that was the first time that we had really connected. And then obviously over these last 2 years of just staying in contact, and we were actually last season, she was on a Zoom with some of our alumni, and we had a couple of our players on the Zoom as well, and so I just asked her some questions, and to hear her expertise in the game, and talking from a point guard perspective of what our point guards had to do to control the team and energize the team and lead the team, is that in the back of my mind it was, okay, this girl is special, and she has the qualities that will make an unbelievable coach. And so as she was finishing up this year, we were talking, as a more of a mentor of just how she gets into the business. And then whenever I had the job come open, she was one of the first calls I made.
How much was it just that you reached out to her? It wasn't necessarily the other way around, because obviously we're talking mid-April, her season's over, and here we are early June, this is announced. That's a pretty quick timetable.
Absolutely, and obviously she was finishing up her pro career and doing great things overseas and finishing that up, and we talked early on of, is it the right time? Would she was trying, she's in the process of getting married as well, and uh, her and her future husband moved to Pittsburgh, and so we had some of those conversations leading up to it, and no matter what spot I had, and again, she was having to process through some of that. but it was a lot of me going after her. And, and I think she's was a great candidate. And then obviously now with life of, can she make it all happen? And then whenever she told me that she would and she'd come, then we tried to fast track as much as we could, because we need her here with our players and need her on the road recruiting in July.
Speaking of recruiting, obviously it's been a very, very interesting year with recruiting, but in a sense, you recruited her. This was another wrinkle in the recruiting process, wasn't it, Lance?
Oh, it was crazy. COVID recruiting and trying to do everything virtually on Zooms. And, we laugh as a staff all the time. We've been able to watch tournaments online, and you really can't tell if it's number 8, number 0, number 3. They all look the same, the same numbers. And it's really been a struggle to really fine tune that. So I can't wait to get back on the road in July and be able to sit in front of a lot of these kids that we're in on, that now we got to finish the race and get them to be Pitt Panthers.
Making that jump from a player to a coach, just obviously there's some different challenges. She's very familiar with the traveling aspect, of course, yeah. But of course there's also the recruiting aspect. There's the film, utilizing the film to provide scouting reports of other teams. Just with Terry and with Josh and with yourself having that experience, how can that help her continue to refine her approach as an assistant coach and find her voice?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, and I think for her right away, it's going to be jumping in with our players and, and really getting on the court. And that's where she'll feel most comfortable and most successful, and, and being able to mentor our point guards, Sandro and Deschanette and Amy, and in those roles of really getting those kids to understand that point guard mentality. And then we're going to learn and grow through all the rest of it. She's going to have to start developing relationships, in recruiting and on the recruiting trail. But she's got a great personality to do that. She's really well organized and stays on it. And that's going to be what's going to be the funnest part of what we get to do as mentors, is see her grow into this role. And again, she's hungry. And from the first time she said that she's coming, it's been, what do I need to do? Okay, how do I learn this? How do we let me watch tape, everything that you would want. She's jumped full 2 feet in and is ready to help us go to a different level.
You obviously mentioned the 3-point guards, Deschanette, Amy, and Sandra, and just having that example, how does that perhaps elevate the standard that you've already set? Just seeing someone that's been through the ringer in ACC competition, them understanding, hey, this is what we're expecting.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's exactly where she has to start, and it does. We always say there's nothing that can replace experience, and having people who have been through it, who can walk you through that process. And again, me as a head coach can say something and she can put it in a different perspective that they can relate to and know that, okay, he says this, but you've got to be able to orchestrate this in this moment. And, and just having that little inner ear person in your ear all the time of helping you, guide you through that, is invaluable.
And the last one for this part, Bree picked the Phoenix Suns to win the NBA championship, and they got LeBron last night. Where do your allegiances this year lie?
Well, my allegiances have always been to the Lakers. But so now I'm a little bit distraught on, like, okay, what is.
I'm glad I didn't ask you yesterday then.
I know, thank you. I would have said LeBron's going to do it. Let's go and watch them. But that was, not a very great me. And Day is, I think, still in mourning and might be here for a couple of weeks because they're not moving on. And so we had to have a little consoling session today of but so she picked Phoenix.
She chose her allegiance yesterday was with Phoenix. Yeah.
Wow. That's I'm gonna have to we'll try to get through that, but
we'll wait until the article runs so she doesn't get too much trouble, right, Lance?
But that's good stuff. Okay, what's the second part?
All right, we'll stop.